Welcome to the Pineapple Perspective. This is your host, Troy Hooper. And as far as I know, I'll always be that host. And Pepper Lunch is and will likely remain the title sponsor of the show as well, pepperlunchrestaurants.com. Welcome today to a great conversation. We're going to talk about all things marketing tech and marketing tech with an expert that I think you're going to get a lot of value and maybe even some entertainment out of because she's a lively lady that I always enjoy having a great conversation with. Erin Levzow, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be on the show.
Most importantly, did I say your last name correctly?
You did. It's a hard
Excellent.
last name. I know. I get Levzow, Levzow. You said it great.
Okay, fantastic. Erin, thanks for coming on. Looking forward to the conversation. We do start every show off right at the top by asking our guests the same question. So I'll ask you today, what does hospitality mean to you?
Well, I think hospitality is a feeling. It's not necessarily an action. It's a feeling of making someone feel welcomed, loved, included. That is really what, when you get true hospitality, whether in the hospitality industry or wherever you might go, that's what you feel.
I like how you said that. You know, you're the first one, I think, to say the word love. I love that. That's great.
Aw.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna throw a curveball. I usually ask, where does that come from? How is that born within you? But you said something that intrigued me there. Outside of the hospitality industry, what's your thoughts or beliefs about businesses that don't think they're in the hospitality industry adopting and deploying hospitality in their business?
I think everyone's in the hospitality industry, whether they like it or not. And I don't think, I mean, we've become accustomed to not getting hospitality in certain industries. Like, I don't walk into my, let's say, clothes cleaner and think they're going to treat me like with the most hospitality. However, shouldn't we? And actually, in some industries, that's what sets companies apart, right? And so if you walk in and some people go, well, why do you go to that place versus that place? And they go, well, because I feel welcomed, I feel loved, I feel supported, I feel cared for. That's hospitality. So just by doing that, you set a differentiator for yourself in some cases. Now, obviously, we expect it in the actual hospitality industry, but everybody should be in that industry.
Unfortunately, I had to move away from a neighborhood, but for several years, many years, really almost 6 years, I kept a dry cleaner's lights on for sure. I did a lot of dry cleaning, and it wasn't because I was a great customer, and it wasn't because I was there with them for a long time. From day one, they knew me by name, sight.
Yeah.
They could tell if I needed stuff faster or was relaxed about it. They bought me holiday gifts and cards. You could tell it wasn't marketing. It was
Yes,
genuine
exactly.
care. It was genuine appreciation for this relationship. We chatted it up. Well, I knew some of the same her customers were some of my guests, that it was just was a tight knit community. So we would talk
Yeah.
about people for fun, nothing bad, but yeah, I mean, would you expect hospitality at your dry cleaner? Probably not. And when you get it,
No.
it stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's easy to go back. I mean, I went to there's a quick trip not far from my house, and every time I go in there and I leave, the first couple times they were like, "Can't wait to see you again." And I was like, "Do they remember me?" And I don't think they do, but they just have that hospitality trained within them, and they say it so genuinely that I was like, "I don't need him knowing that I'm buying Mountain Dew every day. Like, what's happening here?" But he's like, "Can't wait to see you again. See you tomorrow." And you're like, "What?" But it's just a level of care that you don't expect when you check out at a gas station.
All right. So the normal follow up question: where did you get that idea of what hospitality means that you've described to us? How was that born within you? Where does that fire come from?
I mean, I think it's from being a kid and going into places and seeing how people are treated, right? And there's always this, it's kind of like the Lifetime movie. And in every Lifetime or Hallmark movie, the woman goes into a bed and breakfast. It's never a hotel. She goes into a bed and breakfast and it's run by a woman who immediately treats you as one of the own, right? What she's part of the family. And I was like, gosh, what a great feeling that is. And you start to feel that feeling as you go throughout your day in different places. And to me, that's where it came from, whether it was, and this is going to sound crazy, but like as a kid growing up, going to Golden Corral, right? And you used to get your plate and walk down the line, and someone would come and she'd be like, "Hey, sweetie, you want me to get you some ice cream?" And I'm like, and why is she calling me sweetie? Does she know me? It was a level of hospitality you didn't expect, from, let's say, a chain restaurant or from a like the dry cleaner or the gas station. And I think that's where it originated from, which is if we can make people feel seen, then we've done our job.
That's true for anything. I agree with you. That's beautiful. And I love it because it almost always comes back to experience as a kid. You know, my grandmother took
Yeah.
me to Dairy Queen. I didn't have to order a Dairy Queen. They knew I wanted a small strawberry blizzard that they were
Mhm.
going to hold upside down. And every week I was going to go, and it was never gonna fall. Yeah, it's just, you just grow up, right, with those sort of
Yeah.
neighborhood and by the way, Dairy Queen, massive company, local franchise owner, right? They owned 1 store for
Mhm.
35 years, family business, and they treated us like neighbors and friends and family, so, let's edify, let's give the audience a little background on Erin. Erin's got over 20 years in the hospitality and restaurant industry. She has worked in marketing and technology with brands like Caesars Entertainment, MGM Resorts, Palms Casino, also on the QSR fast casual side with brands like Wingstop and Del Taco and Jack in the Box. So she has a lot of experience and knows what she's talking about and has been the CMO of brands. And today is really focused on consulting and coaching brand leaders in marketing and elsewhere within the brand on all things marketing, messaging, branding, and all the things that come along with that in the tech space because like marketing is very technology driven, should be almost purely
Yeah.
technology driven at this point, in my opinion. So let's get into a few topics and conversations. Why don't we start, Aaron, just with like what is hot today? What's on the top of your mind? What's the number one struggle, hurdle, or opportunity? What's exciting? What are we talking about most with your clients today?
Oh my goodness. Typically, my clients come to me because they want an audit. They want to first hear, like, am I doing anything right? Or I think I have one problem. And I had a gentleman, a CEO of a company, come to me last year and he said, I think social media is my problem. I said, cool. Restaurant company. I said, let's look at it. And as we're looking at it, I was like, social media is not your problem. Social media is a channel. I said, your problem is who's your consumer and how are we talking about you? Right. And so going back and reeling it back, but typically what someone brings me as their problem, their hot topic, is never their actual problem. It's underlying, it's the foundation underneath that. And it really depends. But I think right now, a lot of the conversation is around data and how to use your data, not just have your data, which we've been talking about data for years. And actually, big data is on my list of words that you have to take a shot on if you say at a conference, because, like, what does that even mean? Like, we have data, but now it's larger. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the other thing is people are going, do I have too much tech? Is it like what do I really need and what should our goals as a company be? And I always, when anyone has ever in my career asked me, "What's your goal? What problems are you solving?" I'm like, "I want to make more money." And they go, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I would like my business to make more money." And they go, well, yeah, what are your goals? That's it. That's the goal. If you do everything else, that's the one that matters, right? However, we get there is how we get there. And it always cracks me up because someone's like, we're trying to drive more online ordering. I was like, are you? Like, or does it matter if at the end of the day, your bottom line is stronger because more people walked in? So it's let's figure out how to get there, what the end goal is, and then how to get to that.
So talk a little bit about okay, direct question. As a whole, are we stuck in our old ways? Are we just outdated? Are we behind everybody else? And what do we got to do to get out of this mindset that, we tend to just get in these cycles or these ruts of
Mhm.
doing all the same thing and a handful of brands break out and do something exciting and different. But when I see Chili's go viral on a menu item they've had on the menu for 2 years, and it wasn't Chili's idea, it was actually just a customer who
Yeah.
did it for them, right? The Keith Lee effect on Chipotle,
Mhm.
etc. Now they did grab that by the horns and turn him into an ambassador, and they're great, but that was
Yeah.
after the fact. But we need to take control of our brand and our messaging. Talk to us about old versus new.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know the answer to that, but we restaurant industry is typically behind the times. When I came out of the casino industry, I thought everybody was like casinos, right? Utilizing data, understanding everything their customer wants. Like, I mean, in casino industry, you know if the person wants to pay cash because they don't want their significant other to find out. Like, you know everything about the customer. But then you get out of there and you realize restaurants really didn't know. And when I first started in restaurants, they'd go, well, we don't know how to track that because everybody walks in. And I'm like, Then study their foot traffic. Like, what are you talking about? So, yes, are we behind? Yes. Are we trying to catch up? Also, yes, we're making some strides, but we're not there yet. I agree with taking the brand and like helping control the narrative. And then you seed out what you want people to run with. You're not telling necessarily influencers what to do, but you're telling them about things, knowing that they'll take it and run with it if they like it. I just did a video about Olive Garden because I'm going to be honest, I love Olive Garden. I love them. And they're consistent. That's one thing. That's like a brand tenet for them. Like, I know when I go to Olive Garden, I'm going to get the same thing every time. Nobody's going to F it up, right? Zuppa Toscana, always the same. Breadsticks, Alfredo sauce, delicious. But outside of that, they've stuck to a story. They've been very committed. Even when they've tried to change things up and do like different types of pastas, no one ever came in and went, you know what we're going to do here, Olive Garden? We're going to do fried chicken. No one said that. No one ever said that. They stuck to what their brand stood for. Some of these other brands, you see them go, well, we need to change it up. And they leave their brand promise. They leave what they're known for. So there has to be, even though we're growing and changing and evolving, you can't change everything. You need to have a core. You need to stick to your brand. Outside of that, though, the evolving needs to happen in data, technology. How do you understand your customer? Is your customer evolving? Have you done the market research? Those types of things are really important. I asked a brand the other day, I said, what's your traffic pattern? Like, are they coming this way or that way? And they're like, we don't know. What? We don't know. And it was a basic question, which is, how does someone pull into your parking lot? From the right or the left? Where are they coming from when they do that? And they go, we don't know. And I was like, why did you decide to build there? Like, you don't know how someone's getting to you, right? If you're on the right side of, that's why you have a gas station over here and a gas station over here. I mean, to be fair, you have a mattress firm over here and a mattress firm over here too. But like, they're on different sides of the streets for a reason. I'm not going to cross the intersection. And so understanding the basic principles of why you're where you're at, why people come to you, and what they're doing sounds super simple, but we're not even there yet in a lot of these restaurants because we've decided to add fried chicken to a pasta restaurant. Olive Garden hasn't done that, but some brands do. And I agree with you. I do like Chili's too. Like, they're not, I'm an equal opportunity eater. There's not a lot of food I don't like.
I'm pretty similar in that way. No offense, Olive Garden, but it's been many years. I had my fill of Olive Garden
Oh,
at
you
one
need to go back. I went back
point.
the other week and it was still delicious. And you can taste the house wine's actually pretty good. I mean, Olive Garden at this point, they should probably just sponsor me. I should be walking around with an Olive Garden t-shirt on.
I mean, it's a pretty big company. It's be a good sponsorship for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you brought up the tech thing, so it is an issue. I just built our tech stack over the last 2.5 years. We're exporting it globally. It's a ton of work. It's very stressful. It's very time consuming. But definitely on our end, we did it from the lens of if it has value to the franchisee or not. Is this a real
Yes.
value driven decision? Not nice to have, not cute to have, not, oh, look at me, I've got something nobody else has. It's what does this do for their business? And then what does it do for the franchisor business? It gives me access, visibility, data. It gives me
Mhm.
global understanding. It allows me
Yeah.
have a relationship with my franchisee in another connected way. There's lots of benefits that could be secondary to me, but it has to. I look at it as if I own that store and I'm paying these SaaS fees and I'm using these
Mhm.
solutions. Does it have a direct measurable value to me? And I don't mean an ROI. Not everything's about how it makes money, but it's how it benefits the efficiency, effectiveness, or consistency. But talk about, you brought that up. Do we have too much tech? Do we have the right tech? Are we choosing tech for the wrong reason? What's going on out there? Because as you know, tech's just a constant big conversation.
So, great question. I talked to a brand recently who I said, "Give me your tech layout. Like, just give me a breakdown of your tech stack." And they started with, well, here's our POS, here's our app. And as we get down, it was about 12 to 15 deep of technologies, right? Technology partners. And I went, "Great." I said, "Are have you ever added up the cost of all of this tech stack?" And they went, "No." And I said, "Well, why did you end up putting all this in place?" And they said, "Well, each one seemed to serve a perfect purpose at the time." And we had post-COVID tech boom too. That definitely existed, right? Where we had to put technology in place very quickly in a lot of restaurants. But in this case, they were like, "Well, that one's only, $10 per month per restaurant." And this one's only $25 per month per restaurant. And as we added it up, they were shocked. And I said, all right, let's do the ROI on all these pieces of tech. I said, first of all, let's talk about what each restaurant brings in for revenue. Let's look at what you're spending in your tech stack for expense. And sometimes corporate pays for some, franchise pays for some. And as we're adding it up, the ROI wasn't there. And I said, so do you believe that each one of these pieces actually create ROI? And this is the same in marketing and advertising, by the way, as if I serve ads on paid search and programmatically, and I put out a billboard and I do this. Not every customer is different. In fact, you need a 10 times frequency in order for the customer to convert. However, when you do that, you can't give attribution to only one thing, right? So the billboard's going to say, well, yeah, I brought that customer in and the customer's worth $10. And paid search is going to go, yeah, I brought that customer in and the customer's worth $10. Well, no, 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 same customer. So each of you get $5 for attribution. And so we've worked years in advertising to build a multi attribution solution to say, let's look at all the things we have out there and give attribution appropriately. We haven't done that with our tech stack. So, what we're actually starting to see, and I think is going to be the wave of the future, is some more tech consolidation. And I don't mean that by way of integrations, because integrations is also a word that I think gets thrown around a lot where people are like, well, we integrate. And I'm like, that's so great that you integrate. What's that mean? And they make it look like, oh, I just plugged it in and it's easy. Nope, that's not how it works either. And oh, well, we have an API. Great. How does the API work? And when you actually start asking those questions, you learn that not all APIs are created equal. Am I writing to your API? Are you writing to my API? Is the data flowing both ways? What does real time actually mean? And you go down this rabbit hole where you realize it's not built very well. In fact, what we've done in our industry is band-aided on top of band-aid on top of band-aid. And then someone went, this technology doesn't exist. Throw that on there. And now we have 12, 15 partners at minimum each restaurant. And people are starting to get smart about it. And I started to hear more restaurants talk about it last year. And what I've seen is people go, well, let's consolidate. Where can I find a partner that can still do a good job, but bring 3 or 4 of these technologies together? And this partner. So now I only have a few. And you can say, like, on the negative side, a few throats to choke, right? Or on the positive side, you have more free time to go on vacation because hopefully it makes it easier than managing 15 vendors. It also brings you down your overall dollars spent and allows you to maximize your revenue because now you're having a bigger, clearer picture of your guest.
All true. Now I'm not going to say how many SaaS products are on the Pepper Lunch tech stack. But look, is what I tell tech companies all the time. SaaS fatigue is real. I,
Yeah.
I don't care that it's $99 a month. It's another $99 a month. And if the ROI isn't there, if there isn't true value that we can articulate and is additive to the benefit of everybody,
Mhm.
it's not a win-win-win, then it doesn't make sense. And it may not be no, it just may not be now, or like you said, I'm privy to consolidation ahead of some consolidation. And I know of some acquisitions that have happened that have not yet been announced. And I agree with you, that's going to continue. Certainly, there are people who did a great job. They built a solution that's a feature or a product, doesn't necessarily have to be a company. And,
Yeah.
do I want one giant conglomerate or three? Not really. But I think there are some new ideas out there, some new things being built from a platform type perspective. And I think we're going to see more consolidation, not less, for sure. I think it's a
Agreed.
step up here. Aaron, let's talk a little bit about what you do. You obviously know a lot about what's going on in the space. You're at all the shows that I see you at. You're definitely well connected. Talk a little bit about your consulting practice and how you help brands break this down and evaluate and make good decisions.
Well, I like to make friends, so I love seeing you at the shows. I would say, as I went through my career at the end of early last year, I sat down with my executive coach, who I've had for years and is unbelievable. And we worked on kind of what's the future hold? Because my young career started as just say yes, right? Like say yes. If someone asked me to do something, I was like, yeah, that seems great. Let's do it and take it on. Well, as you get older, you start to decide, what do I want to do versus what did I have to do to kind of keep moving? And as I sat down, I said, what do I love doing? Well, I love talking to people. I love helping. I love educating. I love teaching. And I love MarTech, marketing in general. I love leadership coaching. And my executive coach said, "You should be an executive coach." And I said, "No, I like making money too." And so as we're going through that, I realized I loved consulting. But you know what I didn't like about consulting? The word. Because in our industry, the word actually has gotten a really bad rap. The word actually has meant unemployed for a lot of people, where they go, "I'm a consultant, just in the meantime while I find my next role." And you're like, "No, you're ruining the word." And so I say, I'm a fractional person. I've worked with a lot of different words, but what I do love is working with people who necessarily can't afford me full time, but being able to help them move the needle. And so that's what I do is people bring me their problems, I help them solve it. Sometimes the problem they bring me is not the problem they actually have. It's like going to the doctor saying your arm hurts, but actually it's an internal issue, right? Like that's what I work with. I like to think that we're going to find the science behind how we actually do marketing technology and leadership coaching with teams. I do a lot of vision work as it relates to where's your company going? How are you going to get there? How is everybody on the same team? Because we all have to be at the table. So that's what I love doing. I'm also an advisor to a company you know, Batch and Box, very well. I advise Claim. I also am a consultant and an advisor to a lot of different tech companies as well as restaurant brands. I even work outside of the restaurant space in some cases. So I'm allowed to do, and I love what I'm doing right now. The other thing it allows me to do is spend time with my kids because I get to I'm not going into an office somewhere else. And so when I travel, it's a blip in time because otherwise I'm home most of the time and I'm able to see the kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Erin, how do people find you though? They've learned about you. They heard
Yeah.
your expertise. They want to hear more about their business and how you can help them. How do people find you?
Smoke signal usually works. No, TikTok, Instagram, the normal like LinkedIn. My email's Erin Levzow at Gmail. It's very simple. But anywhere and everywhere, don't you probably don't want to Snapchat me. I might not respond. It's only for my teenage daughters, but otherwise, feel free to contact me. I look forward to connecting with anyone and everyone that reaches out because at the end of the day, I like making new friends.
Erin Levzow, Levzow. If you're not watching it or you're not reading the show notes, all of the contact information, all the access points will be there. She'll only be one click away if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube potentially. Me and my sterile white box for those that are listening. I'm in a blank white office. Erin's got this amazing, homey atmosphere, this hospitality, bed and breakfast. I'm coming over, put me up type of environment with a very
You're
fancy.
welcome anytime.
Yeah, thank you so much. Erin, it's been a fantastic conversation. Thanks for enlightening us. Thanks for getting us off our butts and making us think a little bit deeper about our marketing, our martech, our technology stack, and all things in between. Glad to have you on the Pineapple Perspective.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to the Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.